Okay, guys, we should be live. I'm hoping we're live. Gonna be looking for a little bit of feedback in the chat because it was telling me that there was an error, which makes me think we might not be live. So let me know. I think we are. Okay. All right, we're good. I just wanted to make sure because I don't know, YouTube was being weird again as it always is. Um I mean, these type of things are expected. With the last stream I did with the podcast, I mean, the audio wasn't working, got that sorted out. Before that, the video wasn't working. Uh So yeah, we have quite a bit to discuss today, and I'm eager to talk about this. I wanted to do a stream because I feel like I have a lot to say about this announcement today. I have a lot to say about specifically. I think I have more to say about what Jim Ryan told us in his recent interview with GamesIndustry.biz. A lot of people are very much focused on the details of this service, which I understand. And we're going to dive into that first. We're going to go over that. I'm going to give my thoughts on it. Everybody has an opinion on this service rebrand or the PS Plus rebrand. And we will talk about that. But there is like a bigger theme within this stream and with what we're going to talk about today that I'm hoping people will be able to recognize. And I will point it out for you. And that is that Sony today, March 29th, 2022, right before they're about to finish up their fiscal year and talk to their investors and give their yearly report, PlayStation made their vision clear. They made their path forward clear. They made it known where they see the future of gaming going. And I think that if you are a PlayStation fan, if you are somebody who cares at all about the PlayStation brand, especially if you're like a longtime fan and you've been playing since the PS1, PS2, PS3 days, which I know many of you have been, or even if you're just somebody who just picked up a PS5 and it's like, hey, it's my first PlayStation console, you're gonna want to know about this. Like, you're gonna want to know what Jim Ryan's saying because it's going to paint a pretty clear picture of what we can anticipate for the next, I mean, at the very least, 3 to 5 years, but possibly much longer than that. And so I really want to dive into all this. I was thinking about doing a video, but again, I feel like I have too much to say. And depending on how much engagement I get with this stream and how much engagement I see after it's live, maybe I'll still make a separate video. I probably should. I think it would be in my best interest because I know that people who tune in the streams and people who watch videos, there is a separation there. But all right, we have 700 people here. Before I dive into this and go over all of this and give my thoughts, I want to ask you to do me a big favor. Please hit the like button. It helps the videos out. It helps the streams. It's what allows the YouTube algorithm to push my content in front of new eyes so we can continue to grow the community. So hit that like button for me. If you feel so inclined, consider donating a super chat or becoming a channel member if you want to help support the channel and the content that I put out here. You guys, that being the community, my subscribers, my followers, I appreciate all the support. You are the backbone of the channel. So again, if you feel so inclined, feel free. But we're going to start here. Okay, we're going to start here with the PlayStation blog, which breaks down all of the information we need to know about this. So PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now come together. Players can choose from 3 flexible options. This is written up by Jim Ryan, president and CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment. I'm sure most of you know who Jim Ryan is. And before I get into it, I do want to acknowledge that, we were talking quite a bit about whether or not, is Sony going to do a blog post for this? If they're not going to do a blog post, are they going to do a state of play, maybe an event? And something we likely will touch on over the course of the stream is how For the past couple of days, guys, I know you've been following, just like I have. There have just been a litany of rumors of Sony doing something big. Now, this could be it, unfortunately. I say unfortunately only because, I mean, we heard like a week ago from Bloomberg, from Jason Schreier, that, yeah, Sony's announcing Spartacus this week. But after we heard that, a bunch of other rumors started to pop up where it's like, Sony might be doing something bigger than that. Sounds like they got some big stuff planned. And people even started to think maybe they are going to do a showcase. Maybe they want to reveal whatever Spartacus is going to be at a showcase. And, it's Tuesday, so it's still early in the week, but I'm pretty sure, just to lay it out there, I'm pretty sure this is what we're getting for the week. I mean, I saw yesterday that some people were starting to talk about, Sony's going to acquire From Software. And I'm like, I don't know where that's coming from. Like, that would be huge. That'd be crazy, but I'm not sure where that's coming from. And I know that, there is a portion of the PlayStation community, and I'm part of it, that we want another big announcement. We want something to be really excited about. And I don't know that this is that, but like I said earlier, there is something here that I think if you are a core PlayStation fan, or you consider yourself a fan of PlayStation and the way that they've been doing things, you are going to like what you're hearing to an extent. All right. So, let me see. We got a super chat from Aaron Yogurt. You're saying PS Now is not available in too many countries. I do think that Jim Ryan acknowledges that. I think that they're working on it, and he makes it known that they're going to have updates for that in the future. It just makes sense. But anyway, let's read the blog post here. I just keep going on and on. So Jim Ryan says here, since launching PlayStation Plus in 2010, SIE has been at the forefront of innovation with game subscription services. We were thrilled to be the first console membership service that included a refreshed library of games through PlayStation Plus, and also launched the first console game streaming service with PlayStation Now. So right off the bat, it is, Jim Ryan is mentioning the fact that we were the first game streaming service, or one of the, I mean, they weren't technically the first, but wasn't there a streaming service that was actually available before PlayStation Now? I think it kind of like died, but it was like way ahead of its time. I'm trying to remember the name of it. I know you guys know what I'm talking about. It was like the only game streaming service. I'm waiting to on live. Oh my God, yeah, there we go. Some of you guys remembered on live. So I don't think Sony's complete. I don't think he's completely correct with what he's saying here. On live did exist, but I don't think anybody even cared at that time. So, KD, you're saying over 700 games for $120 a year. Where's all the best value in gaming energy from the Xbox? LMAO. Either way, this isn't for me. Going to stick to regular plus. We'll talk about that, KD. We will talk about that. Make no mistake. And we have Ardilinu Adrian. I don't know if I said your name right. Sorry if I butchered it, but thank you for the donation, buddy. Okay, so I also want to point out here with what Jim Ryan's saying. I just have to say it. I mean, I know that he's trying to kind of position this as like a celebration of like we've been doing PlayStation Plus since 2010. People think back to the PS3 days. They were like, multiplayer was free and PS Plus was just an extra. And then with the PS4 generation, Sony decided to take a page from Microsoft's book, good old Microsoft, and charge for online play, which sucks. And I've made it clear, and I will continue to reiterate, that if we didn't need PS Plus to play multiplayer games, I would not be subscribed. That's just my reality. But anyway, goes on to say, today we are pleased to share with you official news about changes coming to our subscription services. This June, we're bringing together PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now in an all-new PlayStation Plus subscription service that provides more choice to customers across 3 membership tiers globally. Our focus is on providing high-quality, curated content with a diverse portfolio of games. Below is an overview of all 3 tiers. So this isn't going to be launching in June. I think that's a little bit surprising, only because I really suspected that, well, when they announce this, it's going to go live right away. It's just immediately going to take effect, but it'll happen in June. So we have PlayStation Plus Essential. And there was a big fear around this tier specifically. People were afraid that, well, Sony's going to charge $120 a year now just for the most basic PS Plus, membership. And I was trying to tell people, like, no, that's not what Sony's going to do. That's not what they're going to do. They're not. But anyway, benefits provides the same benefits that PlayStation Plus members are getting today, such as 2 monthly downloadable games, exclusive discounts, cloud storage and saved games, online multiplayer access. That shouldn't be there. There are no changes for existing PlayStation Plus members in this tier. That's all you need to know. There are no changes, even in the pricing scheme. As you can see here, if you are subscribed to PS Plus as it is now, and you do not want anything to change, including how much you pay for it a year, then nothing has changed, nothing will change. It's $60 a year, and you get the same benefits. Okay, so that's the tier that we're currently at. Now we have PlayStation Plus Extra. Benefits provides all the benefits from the Essential tier, adds a catalog of up to 400 of the most enjoyable PS4 and PS5 games, including blockbuster hits from our PlayStation Studios catalog and third-party partners. Games in the Extra tier are downloadable for play, and this will be, at least in the United States, $15 a month. $15 a month. And this is where the conversation begins to get interesting, because now, we're immediately diving into the conversation of, is the second tier, is this worth it? Is $15 a month? Well, to be honest, it's subjective. One person's going to say, that's great. That's a great deal for 400 games and I can download them. Another person's going to say, I don't care. That doesn't sound worth it to me at all. So I'm saying it this way because I'm going to give my thoughts on it, and I just want it to be known that it's not up to me to determine whether or not it's a great value. The market is going to determine that, but I'll tell you whether or not I think it is, and I think it's okay. Honestly, I think it's pretty good. I think that's reasonable. Like, I think if you're somebody, and I think it just depends on the kind of player you are. Like, if you're somebody like me, where you are always looking forward to the newest games, and you don't like to wait to play those games, and you're somebody who likes to buy physical copies of games, and that's just how you like to enjoy your games, this probably isn't going to appeal to you. Paying that extra $5 a month, you get access to a lot of games, but if you're not looking to basically browse and peruse a whole selection of games, then it's not going to seem worth it to you. It's worth noting that PlayStation Plus Extra for 1 year is $100. So for $100 a year, you will get all the benefits of PlayStation Plus, and you will get access to 400 of, as they're putting it here, the most enjoyable PS4 and PS5 games. It is worth mentioning, they do say that you will be able to download all of these games, which is very important. And on top of that, you will get a selection of some games from PlayStation Studios' first-party catalog. So, to me, that doesn't sound that bad. Obviously, the big thing here is people are wondering, wait, hold on a second. This is $15 a month. That's more expensive than the basic. No, that's not more expensive. It's the same price. This is the same price as Game Pass Ultimate, $15, except you're not getting day and date downloads. There you go. That's the major difference here. For $100 a month, $100 a month. Could you imagine $100 a year? You're getting all the benefits of PS Plus. You're getting 400 games, PS4, PS5, no day and date downloads, and no classic games. So again, it's up to each individual to determine for themselves if that's worth it. To me, just flat out, my initial reaction, not a Game Pass competitor. That's not competing with Game Pass. I think that it will offer value. I think it competes in the sense that it's offering value for the customer for, like, hey, $15, you're getting quite a bit here, but you're not getting the same thing. You're not getting the same benefits that you're going to get for Game Pass Ultimate. So there's a big differentiating factor there. So for me, initial thoughts, it's not a Game Pass competitor, but it also does seem like a pretty decent deal to me. And now we have PlayStation Plus Premium. And before I go over this, I have a couple super chats. Adrian, you're saying, I hate that they don't make the service available worldwide at the same time. Yeah, I mean, maybe they will by June. Maybe that's why they're not launching it yet. They're going to wait till June. That's a possibility. We have Nick. Thank you. You're saying, have some monies, good sir. Thank you for the content. Thank you. I appreciate that, bud. NeoWise, you're saying, if Game Trials lets you really try any game, that is a huge advantage for PlayStation. Joshua says the best way to look at this yearly price, the extra tier is $8 or premium is $10. Not a bad value if you can buy it yearly. And then I think we have, I'm sorry, buddy, I cannot read your name, so I apologize, but we have a new member. Welcome aboard to Greatness Awaits. I appreciate that. And again, I apologize, I cannot read your name. Jacob, you're saying true, PlayStation Now was first, Xbox paid online begun in 2001. Yeah, so we're going to go over the PlayStation Plus Premium tier. Guys, we have 1,500 people here hanging out with me, which is awesome. Thank you so much for that. Please do me a favor and hit the like button. We could easily get to like 500 likes. And then we have Space D saying, I think PlayStation is officially in a really questionable spot. Game Pass is completely dominating the service market, and now on a surprise turn, Xbox is outselling PlayStation worldwide on a weekly basis. Well, okay, I don't think it's fair to compare console sales right now, because if you look at how difficult it is becoming for Sony to get enough PS5s, I want to compare console sales when there's no longer a chip shortage. Then I think that'll be fair. Now, what you're saying, Space D, what you're saying about Xbox dominating the service market and Sony seemingly letting them, I have a lot to say about that. But we're going to get to that later. But continuing on here, we're going to continue to read this. Sorry, I have it in a separate window here. Okay, so PlayStation Plus Premium. Benefits. Provides all the benefits from Essential and Extra tiers. Adds up to 340 additional games, including PS3 games available via cloud streaming, a catalog of beloved classic games available in both streaming and download options from the original PlayStation, PlayStation 2, and PlayStation Portable generations. Offers cloud streaming access to the original PlayStation, PS2, PSP, and PS4 games offered in the Extra and Premium tiers in markets where PlayStation Now is currently available. Customers can stream games using PS4 and PS5 consoles and PC. Time-limited game trials will also be offered in this tier, so customers can try select games before they buy. Now, this is going to be $18 a month and $120 yearly. Now, I think the big thing that people are pointing out here is that if you buy PlayStation Plus for a year for $120, that turns out to be cheaper. That actually turns out to be cheaper than subscribing to Game Pass Ultimate for 1 year. So that is interesting. That is where you do have to start to kind of navigate this and be like, okay, it seems that Sony is trying to provide a competitive value here, at least if you're willing to subscribe to this for a year. Now, here's where things get really interesting. And this is where the big conversation arises. Is PlayStation Plus Premium worth it? Is this good? Well, we have to unpack that question. For some people, it's going to be a simple yes or no. For me, I'm just simply going to say it's not something I plan to subscribe to. However, something about this that I do want to point out is that there's good and bad. The bad aspect of this comes from how you're viewing it and what your expectations are. If you are somebody who was under the impression that I'm going to watch Sony announce a new service or rebranding service, and it's going to compete with Xbox Game Pass, and it's going to be just as valuable, if not more valuable than Game Pass. Sony's going to go all in with backwards compatibility, yada, 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 the whole thing, then this is going to be disappointing you. But for those of you who listen to what I've been telling you, and thank you if you have, and, no problem if you haven't been. I'm here to let you know, I maintained that what we are going to see is Sony take PlayStation Now merge it with PlayStation Plus. Nothing will change. Nothing will change. They will add some game trials and they will reduce the price slightly. So what you are looking at, I said that there's good and bad. I just acknowledged the bad. Here's the good. The good is that if you are somebody who cared about PlayStation Now, you were already subscribed to PlayStation Now, or you're somebody who is thinking about maybe giving PlayStation Now a try, when you look at this, you are now getting PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus for a combo for a very, very, and I have to emphasize, a very slightly cheaper price. That's what you're getting here, okay? Normally, it would have been $10 to be subscribed to PlayStation Now, and then it would have been $10 monthly, that is, to be subscribed to PlayStation Plus. And if you subscribed yearly to both, it would have cost you $120. What does that look like to you? That's what you are seeing. That's what this is. Everything they are describing, being able to access PS3 game streaming, some classic games that can be downloaded, others that can be streamed. I know how disappointing it is to a lot of people where they're like, well, this sucks. Sony's not doing anything different. You're right. You're absolutely right. Sony has not changed literally anything except if you pay monthly, you're getting like a $2 discount. That's pretty much all that changed. That's literally all that changed here. And so this is, the reason why I'm putting so much emphasis on this is because, am I hurting your ears? Sorry. I see my mic is going into the red. I'll reduce, I am screaming a lot, so I'm going to reduce the volume a little bit. I apologize. I'm like over here screaming, it's the same thing. I apologize, buddy. I don't have my headphones on, so I don't have mic monitoring. I have no idea how loud I sound. I apologize. The only thing that's different, I'm just trying to break this down so people understand exactly what you're looking at here. You're looking at PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus together at a $2 discount if you are subscribed on a monthly basis with game trials. Now, talking about game trial, well, before we talk about game trials, let's talk about how Sony is handling their classic games. I think the biggest L with all of this is the realization that Sony, as of now, and it like if there was ever a time for Sony to do something big with backwards compatibility, it would have been now. So I feel confident in saying if there was ever a time where Sony was going to do something more like what fans were hoping for, some fans anyway, people who wanted to play these classic games, if there's ever time for Sony to do it, it would have been now. And they didn't. They didn't do shit. I'm just going to call it what it is. It's the biggest L that Sony is getting right now, in my opinion, because when we talk about the competition between Microsoft and Sony, this is where Sony made it clear, no, we're not doing that. We're not matching Microsoft. We're not even going to try. And I think that's a shame. I do think that's a shame because one of the things I've given Xbox a ton of credit for is the way they have handled backwards compatibility is excellent. It is easily one of the best things that Microsoft has done. And even though they had to stop recently or slow it down dramatically, you got to commend them for really going above and beyond. Now, they had a good reason to do it. They were in a pinch. They needed a win, and that was their easy win. And Sony gave it to them. So, and I think the reason why this is such a massive L for Sony is simply because Sony has one of the best gaming catalogs in the world. If not, a lot of people consider it the best catalog in the world. And so the fact that they're still completely content with just saying, you know what, hey, if you want to access these classic games, you have to pay for it through a service. There's nothing here, as far as I'm aware, about being able to buy these games. You can't buy PS3 games. You can't buy PS2, PS1. I'm pretty sure that, I'm going to do a little bit more reading here, but I think that this is disappointing to a lot of people because, again, we've we've covered this in multiple videos and multiple streams where it's like, maybe Mark Cerny's working on something. Sony's going to surprise everybody. You're going to be able to natively play PS3 games on the PS5 and PS4 through emulation. They'll let you buy games. Maybe they'll even go as far and match Microsoft, and you can put your disc in. And I get why Sony's not doing it. Like, from a business standpoint, I understand why they're not doing it. But from a fan perspective, from a consumer perspective, and certainly from the perspective of I have to evaluate what they're offering with this highest tier, it's disappointing. Like, I think that is the most disappointing aspect of this. However, just speaking for myself, if Sony did come out here and say, hey, you can natively play PS1, PS2, PS3 games. If you have the discs, you can play them. I wouldn't have been that excited, only because that's not what I do. I like to collect games. Yes, I like to collect physical games, but that doesn't mean I necessarily go back and play them all the time. It's very rare that I do. I just like the collection. I like the collector's aspect. But it's a shame, and I feel bad for the PlayStation community, the most hardcore community that still has collections of PS1, 2, 3 discs, and they were just hoping that Sony would do something more, and they're not. They're not. And that's an area where Microsoft got the W, and they ran with that W, and they still have it. And Sony just has the L. They have to hold this L, with backwards compatibility. But the other aspect to this that I do want to cover is the game trials. Now, I want to read a little bit more here, but before I do want to say that game trials are interesting to me, only because it's going to be fascinating to see how the market responds to this, because it might not be a good response. I feel like Sony, when they were making up these tiers, they were like, we got to throw in a little something extra, just a little something extra to sweeten the deal. And they knew that they weren't going to do day and date games. So I feel like they were like, okay, we're just going to, we're just going to do game trials. And I don't know if they divulge here. Oh, wow, there's a lot more reading here. So we'll read this. I want to see if they give any more information on the game trials. So they say here, this is interesting. PlayStation Plus Deluxe select members for markets without cloud streaming. PlayStation Plus Deluxe will be offered at a lower price compared to Premium and includes a catalog of beloved classic games. Okay, so essentially what they're saying here is if you live in a market or in a place where you can't stream PlayStation Now titles, you'll get it at a cheaper price. It says the new extra and premium tiers represent a major evolution of PlayStation Plus. With these tiers, our key focus is to ensure that the hundreds of games we offer will include the best quality content that sets us apart. See, I don't think that's hyperbole. I do think that is a key point that we need to acknowledge here, is that one of the things that Sony is trying to do with this service is the same thing they're trying to do with their games, which is they're trying to position PlayStation Plus and the tier system as quality. You're going to get quality. Like, you're not going to get the crap that no one cares about. You're going to get the stuff people do care about. And I think that's just Sony trying to leverage their strength, which is when people think of PlayStation, usually they think of high quality products. So we'll have to see if that turns out to be true. They say at launch, we plan to include titles such as Death Stranding, God of War, Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, Mortal Kombat 11, and Returnal. Oh, Returnal! I didn't know Returnal was in there. That's actually pretty good. That's interesting. I speculated recently that Sony was going to cherry pick their first-party games at specific times to put into this service. Returnal is not is not even a year old. Returnal has not even been out for a year, and it's going to be in the service. Interesting. That's something we might want to pay attention to, because what that tells me is that Sony is definitely going to, at certain times, leverage their first-party games to try to make this service seem more appealing, for sure. But they say here we're working closely with our imaginative developers from PlayStation Studios and third-party partners to include some of the best gaming experiences available, with a library that will be regularly refreshed. More details to come on the games we'll have in our new PlayStation Plus service. When the new PlayStation Plus service launches, PlayStation Now will transition into the new PlayStation Plus offering and will no longer be available as a standalone service. PlayStation Now customers will migrate over to PlayStation Plus Premium with no increase to their current subscription fees at launch. So that's exactly what this is. As this is a massive launch effort, we're rolling out new PlayStation Plus, the new PlayStation Plus offering in the phased regional approach. In the June timeframe, we'll begin with an initial launch in several markets in Asia, followed by North America, Europe, and the rest of the world, where PlayStation Plus is offered. We aim to have the most PlayStation Network territories live with our new PlayStation Plus game subscription service by the end of the first half of 2022. We also plan to expand our cloud streaming benefit to additional markets, and will provide more details at a later date. Building upon more than 25 years of expertise in gaming innovation, this change to our subscription service highlights our continued efforts to evolve our network services business to match our customers' preferences. With the all-new PlayStation Plus, we're focused on delivering a compelling game subscription service with curated content from our exclusive PlayStation Studios team and our third-party partners. The newly enhanced PS Plus will enable our fans to discover and engage with more content than ever before and deepen their connection with the PlayStation community through shared experiences. We're providing an early look. We're providing an early look at our new PlayStation Plus subscription service today, and we'll plan to share more information with you as we get close to launch. Okay, so I wanted to be sure to read all that. Okay, so yeah, there's really no info here on how Sony's planning to handle trials exactly. JDTV, you're saying if I upgrade to PS Plus Premium, what happens to my current PS Plus subscription? Will I have a rebate for upgrading to premium? No mention there. I think it's I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I don't actually know. I think they'll probably release more information on it. I mean, I'm assuming that if you're just a PS Plus member now, your current PS Plus subscription, if I had to guess, it'll probably just be rolled into it, you know? Like, they'll just roll it into it. That's probably what's going to happen. So in June, if you have like 6 months left on your, yeah, I think it will be rolled into it. And what I could see happening is if you have like 6 months left of your PS Plus membership, and then you want to subscribe for a year to premium, you'll like what I could see happening is after your year of premium is up, it'll just automatically take you back down to PlayStation Plus Essential, and it'll use up those 6 months. And then after those 6 months, you'll probably go back to zero with nothing. That's what I would assume would happen. We have Christ, a new member. Thank you so much. Greatness awaits. We have Pragmaticat, a member for 6 months at Play Has No Limits. You're saying maybe they need till summer to do it justice. Yeah, I don't know, man. We'll see. Jacob, you're saying wanted a service, not a Game Pass competitor, maybe a bit, but did know they wouldn't have day one games. I only want to be able to buy PS1, 2, and 3 games. Pragmaticat, you're saying one step at a time. Marathon, not a sprint. Kyle Davis, you're saying, do you think Sony will also try and match third-party releases that you would normally see day one for Game Pass? That, I think, absolutely yes. I do. Well, I want to be careful with that. I don't want to say absolutely. I want to say that it seems likely they will try, but then again, you have to understand that Sony sells a lot of games on their platform. They might not want to. I don't know. I mean, they're saying that they want to make it seem quality. They want to make it appealing. So instinctively, I want to say yes, they will, but I'm not entirely convinced. Pragmaticat, just to answer you, yes, this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. Blackspeed 2X, thank you for that, buddy. Okay, so the next thing we're going to read, I think, is even more important. Okay? I just, before I move on to it, though, I do want to just give my, not final thoughts, but after reading all the information and kind of, giving it a little bit of time to soak in here, my thoughts on the PlayStation Plus rebrand, I'm almost entirely indifferent to it. It's clearly not a direct Game Pass competitor, and I'm not trying to brag. I'm not, but it's not bragging because I get a lot of things wrong. But I just want it to be known that when it comes to my expectations and the way I talked about Spartacus, which is what we're looking at now before it was launched, is I said that this is not going to be a direct Game Pass competitor. This is going to be underwhelming to anybody who's expecting that. And it's just going to mostly be a merger of PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus. And looking at all the details, I did say Sony could have a trick or two up their sleeve. They do not. There's no tricks here. Sony had no surprise, no nothing. It's just, this is what it is. And because of that, I told you guys, like, I'm not a fan of these services. I'm not, because I just don't care. Like, I'm not that type of gamer. I'm not the type of gamer that I need to boot up my console. Now I need to go look through a whole 400, 700, whatever it is, games catalog. I'm just not. I know what appeals to me. I usually know what I want to play. I'm not closed-minded. I'm always willing to try other stuff out, but you know, my time is valuable to me, and I usually, when I sit down to play a game, I have a good idea. Like, yeah, this is a game I want to play. I'm going to be playing it for a while. I'm just not the type that really goes from like, okay, I'm playing this game and now I'm playing that game and I'm going to play these 3 games this week. I'm not like that. I think that there are a lot of people who are like that and they do approach games like that. And I think for those people, this is going to seem appealing to them. Maybe now people who just were not even aware of PlayStation Now's existence, to them, this might, you have to imagine there are quite a few people who maybe knew about PlayStation Plus, but not PlayStation Now, maybe. And they're hearing about this and like, oh, this is great. But they just don't realize that this is just PlayStation Now. Overall, I don't think it's a W and I don't think it's an L. I think what this is just Sony doing something, frankly, that they should have done a long time ago. I think that Sony should have done this a long time ago. And I think that the fact that they waited so long to do it, it's not looking very good for them, because they're doing it at a time when, they're not doing it at a time, or they're doing it at a time when they have a competitor who's offering day and date games on their service. And if Sony had done this earlier, say maybe before Microsoft announced that, people wouldn't really care too much. They'd be like, oh, that's cool, But now that they're doing it at a time when, this is the conversation that I'm seeing online, is it's no day and date. It's no day and date. Game Pass is better. Like, yes, Game Pass is better because this is not trying to be Game Pass. Game Pass is the be-all, end-all for Microsoft. What we are seeing here, PlayStation Plus, is not the be-all, end-all for Sony. But what Sony is trying to do here is extract more money through consolidation. That's what they're doing. Sony right now is saying, look, we can maybe get more people involved and engaged with PlayStation Now if we just slap it in there with 3 different tiers of PlayStation Plus, and it's not going to compete with Game Pass. And here's the big thing we're about to talk about. And this to me is the crux of this conversation. This is the peak of this conversation and the most important part of this conversation. And that is one simple question that we will have an answer to by the end of this. Why isn't Sony trying to compete with Game Pass? Why? Why is this not as good as Game Pass? Why is it not offering day and date games? Why? And we're going to answer that. We are going to answer that because I think it's extremely important for people to know why. Josh, you're saying it comes down to what third-party games they can get to launch into this. But even then, what if these publishers and studios keep getting acquired? Well, yeah, I mean, that's definitely something Sony's going to have to contend with. I think Sony would just be happy waiting. I'm telling you, like, I think Sony, I'm telling you now, Demon's Souls probably would have been offered in this lineup if Elden Ring didn't just launch. Because I'm pretty sure there's like a knock-on effect with Elden Ring where maybe there are a bunch of people who bought Elden Ring, they're experiencing the Souls formula for the first time. Then they're like, I want to go play all the Souls games now. They have a PS5. I want to buy Elden Ring. Or not Elden Ring. I want to buy Demon's Souls. And I looked at the price of Demon Souls, and it's like $650, I think, right now. And I'm telling you, if Elden Ring didn't come out, you probably would have saw Demon Souls in this lineup as well. I could be wrong about that, but the fact that they're putting Returnal in there tells me something, and it tells me that they're willing to wait and they're willing to be strategic about it, just like they are with the way they're handling PC. Just like they are with the way they're handling PC. So when it comes to third party, I think they're willing to be patient, and I think they're willing to pick and choose. I do. Kendallfire22, you're saying people aren't talking enough about the middle $15 tier, 400 PS games and 5 games included, and all downloadable. Could be great once they show the lineup. Well, that's what I'm saying, man. It's like, if when it comes to talking about Game Pass, it's all about the numbers. It's all about how much are you paying a month, or how little are you paying a month, and how many games are you getting, and what type of games. And I feel like Sony is pretty much answering all of those questions with this middle tier, but their Achilles heel potentially is the fact that they're not doing day and date, because Sony can come out and they can say, hey, we're offering a relatively, and it is a relatively cheap service for $15 a month. What do you get? You get all the PS Plus benefits, the monthly PS Plus games. You get 400 plus PS4 and PS5 games that can all be downloaded. Yeah, I mean, to a lot of people, that probably sounds like, to the average person who doesn't give a shit about the competitive aspect, they probably feel like, yeah, that's pretty good. That's not bad. But again, it comes down to, are you the type of person that wants to have that massive catalog? Do you want to be able to browse and just peruse and play a bunch of stuff that you maybe never even would have thought of playing? If that's the type of person you are, and that sounds appealing to you, then yes, this middle service probably sounds at least a little bit enticing to you, even if it's not as good in some people's eyes as Game Pass. Jose, I guess? Yeah, Jose Hernandez, I think I'm saying your name correctly. You're saying, check the VGC article regarding every major publisher will support the new PlayStation Plus games library. I will bring that up. I'll bring that up, actually. I'm not going to be able to have it on screen, but maybe we could read that later. Let me see. Okay, yeah, I'll read that in a little bit. We have Young G, you're saying it's not great, but it's better than what we have now. Would you agree? Well, that's the thing about it, Young G. That's the thing about it, is like, it is literally what we have now. That's why it's so difficult for me to read so much of what people are saying, because it is what we have now. It's literally the same thing. It's the same thing with game trials now. That's it. That's all it is. It may evolve. I think this is just the beginning. I think it will evolve, obviously, over time, and it could certainly be very different in the long run. But right now, it's what we already have. So when you say, what I think is better about it is that, wow, PlayStation Now may actually, be relevant under the name PlayStation Plus. That's how I see this. Josh, you're saying Sony had to do something. I don't blame them. I'm not interested, but I'm glad they're still going for quality and not going the trash Xbox route. We'll talk about that. Berto Game Tight, you're saying it's only the beginning. It took years for Game Pass to get where they are at now. Where is the day one Xbox Studio games at? I see third-party games. Day one with Sony, 700 plus games. What more do you want? LOL. And that's the thing, is like, something that is fascinating to me. And again, we are going to that, guys. I promise you, we're going to get deep into this. Okay, we're just still at the surface level right now. A lot of people continue to talk about Xbox Game Pass as if it's a resounding success, as if it's some kind of massive success. Microsoft has struck a gold mine, and I don't know why people think that. Just because Xbox says, "Hey, it's good, it's great." Well, who's backing Xbox? Who's backing Xbox? Tell me. I'll tell you. Microsoft is backing Xbox. The company with an infinite amount of money, where there's no such thing as being in the red. Yes, It's a success because it will be a success. We will make it a success, no matter how long it takes. And this is such an important thing for people to understand. Again, the question, why? Why is Sony not competing with Game Pass? Because PlayStation, as of right now, there are two things. One, they don't believe Game Pass is the future of gaming. Two, Sony cannot afford to believe that Game Pass is the future of gaming. I really want that to marinate. Let that marinate for a moment. They do not believe Game Pass is the future of gaming because it has never brought... Sony has achieved the success that they currently have doing things the way they've always done them. Two, they cannot afford for Game Pass to be the future of gaming. I need you to let that marinate, because what we are about to talk about gives you everything you need to know about the future of PlayStation. And when we talk about the competitive aspect, you know, we have Sony and we have Microsoft taking divergent paths. Sony today, even though it may not seem like it to most people, Sony today, for the first time in what feels like forever, even though you have to do a little bit of reading between the lines, which we're going to do, Sony made it so clear today how they feel about Game Pass and how they feel about Microsoft's vision. And I'm excited to go over it with you because it's very interesting. Blackspeed2X, you're saying, hey, MBG, thank you. I've been following you since the beginning. Keep going, bro. On a side note, don't forget the drop in value in Xbox Live Gold. Go take a look at April's lineup. PSN Plus keeps quality. Yeah, so that we do need to acknowledge that ever since Game Pass really became the main focus for Microsoft, it seems like the monthly games with gold have literally turned into utter garbage. Like even Xbox fans are like, what on God's green earth are you delivering this month with games with gold? Because it's unacceptable. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully that doesn't happen to Sony. Darkborn, you're saying subs can make more if someone subscribes forever. The problem is you can spend $200 million on a game and have people sub for 1 month. Live service will be on this. Yes, guys, when I talk about Sony's future, I know a lot of PlayStation fans are going to cringe hard when they hear this, but believe me, there's more to it. There's more depth to it that I will try to dig into. So Sony is betting big. All right, hold on. I know how I can frame this. I'm going to give it to you as simply as I can. We have established that Microsoft and Xbox are betting big on Xbox Game Pass. Microsoft and Xbox are all in on Game Pass because they believe that Game Pass is the future of not only them within the gaming space, but the future of gaming in general. This is where the future growth lies. Sony and PlayStation have that exact same mentality, except it's not for subscription gaming services. It is for live service games. Live service games will be Sony's subscription services, if that makes sense. And if you think about it, this is where the great divide lies. This is where the great divide lies, where you have Microsoft saying, gaming subscription service, we're going to be the Netflix of gaming. Sony says, we're not about that. We're not trying to be the Netflix of gaming. We're going to do what we've always done. Live service is the future of gaming for us, so we can continue to do what we do. And I need that also to marinate, so we can continue to do what we do. Because Jim Ryan, we're about to, I know I'm prolonging it here. I apologize. We are about to get into what Jim Ryan said, but Jim Ryan literally, when you read it between the lines and you break it down, that's pretty much what he said. We cannot do day and date games. We cannot afford it. Our quality would drop. It's not tangible, it's not practical, it's not possible for us to match what Microsoft is doing because Sony does not have the safety net of a multi-trillion dollar company backing them. Sony has Sony. And if Sony doesn't make enough money, Sony goes under. There is no safety net. So Sony says, well, we can't do day-and-date games. What can we do? We can do live service games. What is a live service game? What does Sony look like with multiple successful live service games? Sony looks like a publisher that puts out high-quality single-player games that sell millions of units, and they also have a steady flow of revenue coming from their live service games in the exact same way that a subscription service like Game Pass would, and they also have PS Plus. People don't fully understand or realize Sony's strategy here, and it's pretty good, man. Like, I gotta admit, Jim Ryan knows what the hell he's doing. I know he gets a lot of shit, and obviously there's a whole separate conversation of, well, what if Sony screws up the monetization and they get greedy with their live service games? Yes, that's a big part of this conversation, and it is a concern. We have to look at GT7 and worry a little bit. And we know that Jim Ryan is a businessman first, but when I tell you Jim Ryan knows what he's doing, man, he does. He knows how to handle this situation, and I got to give him credit because the most important thing we need to recognize about Jim Ryan since he took over PlayStation, he is not that reactionary, and that can be good and bad. But where it's good is that Jim Ryan and Sony, they're not looking at what Microsoft is doing, and they're not looking at what the conversation is around Game Pass and assuming, oh shit, well, what are we going to do? Put our games day and date. Put our games day and date. You see? Somebody's saying, am I capping for MTX now? No. Dude, come on, man. Like, we're having a big picture conversation here, buddy. All right? You know how I feel about microtransactions. If it ain't free to play, why the fuck are they there? That's how I feel about microtransactions. But putting my personal feelings on them aside, we have to look. We have to look at what Sony is doing, at how Sony is planning to go into the next 5 years plus, you know? So let me see here. I'm starting to get off the rails here. I'm going to try real hard to reel it back in because we have more reading to do. The most important reading. Pragmaticat, you're saying my main hype was the backwards compatibility, but did you say Deathloop or just Returnal? Because I bought Returnal, but I'd love to play just a few hours of Deathloop. Unfortunately, I didn't read Deathloop. It was Returnal. So, yeah, you're going to want to... you're probably going to have to purchase Deathloop. Maybe it'll be there eventually. I don't know. Maybe when it enters Game Pass, you know? Mark Tech, you're saying it's literally not the same, only with game trials. PS Now currently has no native PS5 games or any PSP games, and they are greatly expanding the library. Okay, you know what, Mark Tech, I gotta thank you for calling me out on that because you are correct. You know what? You are correct. I guess I was under the impression, I'm going to be real, I have not been following PlayStation Now. I was under the impression that PlayStation Now already offered PS5 games. PSP games, yeah, I don't recall ever hearing any. I thought that they already offered PS5 games, but apparently they don't. So you're right. You are right, actually. You are right. It is different. It is different in that way. But I guess what I mean is that, like, generally what you're seeing with PlayStation Now is kind of, you know, all right, Sir Speaks a Lot. That's enough from you. That's enough from you, Sir Speaks a Lot. That's enough. We're done now. But yeah, Mark Tech, you are correct. I do apologize for not mentioning that. I guess when I say, look, they are the same, I just mean that what PlayStation Now is, like, as a service, is essentially the same. But now, yeah, it will have PS5 games and PSP. So it could be, you know, it could very well be this big expansion that you're talking about here. They are greatly expanding the library. This could be what maybe allows this service, this PS Plus rebranding, to grow in a much more significant way than PS Now ever did. So thank you for keeping me on my toes there. Space D, you're saying 60% plus market share versus 7.777% other services. Josh says Xbox has over 30 plus studios and only like 2 free-to-play games in over 2 years. I don't. Well, you mean FP games. Now compare that with PS5's first 2 years. Yeah, I'll be supporting buying my games. Chris Gaming Show, you're saying, well, to be honest, Xbox Game Pass is badass and all, but Sony got the most exclusive games and better quality games than Xbox. Sir Speaks a Lot, 22 months. Thank you, buddy. You're saying, MBG, I just hear, what is this short story on what just happened, and give me the feet pics that you promised me last night when we were eating spaghetti and singing and more. Dude, I don't, your chats, bro, ridiculous. I can't even keep up with what you're saying. Sir Speaks a Lot. New Soul 9, you're saying, for the person that said the trash Xbox route, quick question, why are people buying Xbox to begin with then? Axis Hawk says, if the GT7 Live service is the pinnacle according to Jim Ryan, then I don't think it will succeed. Sony needs to tread carefully here. I actually do agree wholeheartedly, Axis Hawk. Just because I'm acknowledging Sony wanting to do live service doesn't mean I believe they will succeed in doing it. I've talked about this extensively the past couple weeks. We gotta worry. We do gotta worry about the way Sony's going about this. It could work extremely well. It could blow up in our faces and their faces. It's a minefield. They have to navigate a minefield. And the question is, can Sony successfully navigate the minefield that is live service games? New Soul 9, you're saying, by the way, MBG, you forgot to mention cloud. That's also the future of gaming. I don't want to hear that. I don't care about cloud gaming, man. I think the timely death of Stadia proves that we are nowhere near that future, if that is in fact the future. Space D, you're saying MBG championing games as a service right now. No, I'm not championing them, man. I'm just simply saying that Sony is putting their faith in finding success in games as a service as a way to allow them to have a constant revenue stream rather than a gaming subscription service. And there is something really important that I do want to point out here as well. And that is, PlayStation fans who currently like PlayStation should be very happy about that. I know it sounds counterintuitive, like, wait, you're saying we should be happy that Sony wants to pursue live service games? In a way, we do, because if you think about it, this is Sony's way of ensuring that they can continue to develop single-player games. I mean, truly, without having to put microtransactions in them, without having to find further ways to monetize them. If they were to do a gaming subscription service, Jim Ryan says it himself, they would have to alter their games. They would have to alter the quality of their games. I think that this is probably the best direction for Sony to go in. We'll have to see. It remains to be proven, but Pragmatic Cat, you're saying, I guess I want game trials, for instance, for like Deathloop. Well, Sony will definitely add more game. I mean, we don't know what games are going to be on offer for game trials, but that to me is something that could be leveraged in a significant way if they do it right and if they offer good games. Even though I know it's like they're going to make you pay for demos. I mean, look, it is what it is, but you can't tell me that there won't be at least some people who find that appealing. I think some people will. Thermalgenics, you're saying, so about your video on Sunday, what do you think the other two rumors are that we might get from Sony this week? Well, to be honest, at this point, man, Jason Schreier, he came out and he was answering some questions because people were basically asking Jason Schreier, like, yo, there was this big PlayStation news that was hyped up. Is this it? Is there any more than this? Can we expect any more? And he was like, look, if I had known about anything else, I would have talked about it. He said, as far as he's aware, this is it. And I think Greg Miller, he elaborated further on what he meant by these three things. And I'm going to be real right now. It just sounds like a bunch of bullshit. It just sounded like he was just like hyping shit up and didn't expect people to notice or pay attention. And everybody was like, oh, what's going on? And, it's just one of these things where it seems like it got out of hand again. And I admit, like, I'm not going to pretend like I'm not involved in it, but It's just because I want to feel that excitement too, you know? Like I want to believe that if somebody who has connections within the industry says, "Oh shit, some big PlayStation stuff's happening this week." I want to be like, "Oh, awesome. Let's go." I'm just as disappointed as you guys are when we find out that it's like, so it wasn't actually anything. You know, it is annoying. It is annoying. I feel like I got the runaround as well. So, you know, at this point, guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I have no clue. I will say this: it is early in the week. It is early in the week. I see somebody saying why so negative. I'm not trying to be negative. It's just it's early in the week. Sony announced this very early in the day and Tuesday. I mean, am I expecting anything more? I don't think so. I don't think so. But I would love to be wrong. I would love for Sony to do something else, whatever it may be. I will say though, was this like, is Sony doing a blog post to announce this? Is this not the most underwhelming way to announce this? It really is, but it makes sense. I don't think it should have been announced any other way, but I just think that, man, we've been hearing over and over again, Sony's going to do something big. Sony's going to do something big. And then it's like, blog post. Okay. All right. Pragmatic Cat, you're saying, MBG, was it chocolate spaghetti? I'm not entertaining this conversation, Pragmatic Cat. I'm not entertaining this. JDTV, you're saying, with me and Sir Speaks a Lot, you have two passionate members in your community. One looking for feet pics, the other waiting for the legendary clown to return. Well, the clown will probably return at some point, but the first thing, definitely not. All right, guys, we are going to move on to the more important article here. I apologize it took this long to get to it, but let me see. Okay, so we have now, I'm telling you, if you care about the future of PlayStation, if you want to know why PlayStation isn't competing with Game Pass, you want to know all about it, you're going to want to pay attention to this, okay? So, guys, do me a favor. As I said, we have over 1,600 people here hanging out with me, which is awesome. Thank you guys so much. Hit that like button. We could easily crush 1,000 likes. And let's start reading here, and let's unpack what good old Jimmy Boy has to say about PlayStation. So, GameIndustry.biz, PlayStation's Jim Ryan, our games could suffer if they went straight into PlayStation Plus. Hell of a headline. Hell of a headline there, okay? Whenever a new platform or service gets announced, the focus is inevitably on what's missing rather than what's there. Sony's new PS Plus subscription offering boasts online multiplayer access, hundreds of PS4 and PS5 games streaming, retro titles, trials, but what it doesn't include, unlike its main competitor, are new first-party games that launch in the service at the same time as they come out at retail. We feel like we are in a good, virtuous cycle with the studios, explains PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan, where the investment delivers success, which enables yet more investment, which delivers yet more success. We like that cycle, and we think our gamers like that cycle. Now, make no fucking mistake about it. You need to be able to read between the lines here, my friends. Okay? Translation. Yeah, what we're doing now. Okay, hold on. Guys, all right, I have a new rule. Sir Speaks a Lot, I'm speaking directly to you. I'm noticing that there are quite a few people in my chat who are upset because they got timed out and they don't know why they got timed out. No more nukes. We're not nuking the chat anymore. All right, I know that's a new rule. I don't want to do it because when we get new people here, they don't understand. They don't understand it's an inside joke, but I don't want people to be upset or to be leaving the channel or unsubbing or anything. I don't want it to have any negative ramifications. So Sir Speaks a Lot. No more nukes. I'm gonna have to nuke you, right? So, got to make that rule. All right. So for anybody in the chat who's wondering why they got timed out, you're not in trouble. All right, you're not in trouble. You should. I mean, well, there may have been a couple people, I don't know, but I'm assuming some of you are upset because of that. Okay. All right. Let's get back on topic here. Anyway, back to my rant. Make no mistake about what Jim Ryan is attempting to convey here. okay? I'm going to translate for Jim Ryan. Jim Ryan is saying, listen, we have a business model that works for us. We make quality games. We put a lot of money. We invest a lot of money into the development of these games. We make good games. We sell millions of copies of these good games that we invest in at full price. And then we make even more money back. We make a profit. Then we reinvest a portion of that into our next games. We could not do that successfully if we did day and date, if we copied Game Pass. This is a very important quote from Jim Ryan, because believe me when I tell you, if there was ever a time for Sony to make it clear whether or not they have any intention of doing day and date anytime soon, he's making it clear. He's making it clear. And we're going to, I just had to make that known, that Jim Ryan is speaking very carefully here, but we have to read between the lines. We have to dissect some of the quotes. Pragmatic Cat, you're saying maybe forget the feet pics, one nuke at the start of PXP only, and demand the return of the clown. I don't know. Honestly, Sir Speaks a Lot. Maybe you can think of something else. All right. I don't like the channel nukes or whatever, because I'm telling you, it puts people off. I see it every time. People get upset and they get confused, and we could be getting new people to join our community, and they may end up leaving thanks to Sir Speaks a Lot. We don't want that. The clown, though, we'll see in due time. In due time. I know you want the clown. That's more doable, I think. All right, so let's keep reading here. We have he says, or it continues, in terms of putting our own games into the service or any of our services upon their release, as you all know, this is not the road that we've gone down in the past, and it's not the road we're going down with this new service. We feel if we were to do that with the games that we make at PlayStation Studios, that virtuous cycle will be broken. The level of investment that we need to make in our studios would not be possible, and we think the knock-on effect on the quality of the games that we make would not be something that gamers want. Thank you. Fucking thank you, Jim Ryan. See, this is why I cannot give this man nearly as much shit as everybody wants me to, because he is speaking, as far as I'm concerned, directly to me. You are damn right that's not what I want. I do not want to see the quality drop. I do not want to see less investment in each studio and each title for the sake of getting a better deal. No, thank you. No, thank you. And I know that I'm sounding like I'm really going in, but it's because I'm happy at what Jim Ryan is saying. And all these people who want to come at me and be like, well, you're just defending $70 games, and that's what Sony wants you to do. Microsoft has yet to fucking prove to me. Put Forza aside, put Halo aside. As far as I'm concerned, those fucking games do not compete with many of the games that Sony has put out over the years. Where's Microsoft's Ghost of Tsushima? Where's their Horizon? Where's their fucking anything outside of what we've already gotten? I'm not saying they can't deliver that, and here's the thing. Here's the thing, Xbox fans that are getting upset at what I'm saying right now. I'm not saying Xbox can't prove Jim wrong. They can. Xbox can come out here and be like, well, we got this game, we got that game, we got these 3 games. So what now? What's your excuse? And then Jim Ryan's only thing that he could say at that point is, well, we just can't afford it. And then it's like, oh, okay. But this is where I'm telling you, like, I believe what he's saying. And I don't care if you don't believe it. I play these games, man. I buy these games and I play them, and they are exactly what I want them to be. And if Jim Ryan, PlayStation CEO, not some fucking random Joe Schmo on Twitter, PlayStation CEO, is coming out here and saying, yeah, we can't do that, the quality of our games would diminish. Our studios would not get the same investment. I'm gonna fucking take his word for it. I'm gonna be like, okay. Don't mess around then. Just do what you gotta do. Keep producing the games that you produce that I like to play. So this is where I just don't get. I don't get it, man. Like, I don't get how, when we talk about the divergent path of Sony and Microsoft, maybe. I see somebody mentioning Hellblade 2, and that's the thing. Like, look, make it known that Xbox. I gotta tell you, man, this is where he's a devious one. Phil's a little bit more devious than people might realize. Phil is twisting Jim's arm so badly right now. Phil is putting the heat. He is putting the pressure, turning it up, man, on Sony. And you know why? Because all Phil has to do is just, oh yeah, PlayStation? Oh, what's that? What, you can't do day and date games? Oh, that's a shame. We can. And we can wait. We can wait as long as we need to get that quality. And do you know why we can wait? We can wait as long as we want because we can afford to, because we are Microsoft and we have an infinite amount of money. And that's the truth, man. That's where, dude, Phil is twisting Sony's arm so badly because Sony better pray. Jim better pray. You better go to sleep at night praying. Please, God, do not let Xbox ever be able to deliver games that are considered as good as ours. Because when that day comes, the pressure on Sony will be, I think, more than they're going to be capable of handling. Because this right here is the last. This is the last bastion for Sony. Quality. The quality of our games. Think about it. If Sony started to diminish in quality, or if Microsoft started to up their quality, and suddenly, every time we're talking about well-reviewed games, every time we're talking about Game of the Year contenders, Xbox is right there with Sony. Well, what's Jim Ryan going to say then? And so this is where you are seeing a very interesting just game of chess here between Sony and Microsoft, where Jim Ryan and Sony are absolutely hoping that Phil Spencer and Xbox Studios fail. I know he's not going to say that out loud. You're saying I'm looking pretty pasty? No, it's the lighting, dude. Anybody who watches my streams normally, I open my window again. It's the lighting. But dude, Jim Ryan won't say it, but Jim Ryan is absolutely hoping and praying that Phil Spencer and Xbox Game Studios not necessarily fail, but fail to the point where they cannot release games. They cannot produce games that can compete with some of their biggest titles, some of their most well-renowned titles. Sony does not want a studio like The Initiative to produce, a game that can compete with God of War. That would be very, very bad for Sony. And to me, that's what makes this so interesting, is they're both hedging their bets, man. Jim Ryan and Sony are hedging their bets on your subscription service model won't succeed in the long run because we don't believe you will be able to produce games that are on the same level as our games. And as long as our games are on what are perceived to be another level of quality, then we can always say, hey, this is why we're not doing what they're doing. You think Sony wants to come out here and say, well, we can't afford to do that. They will if they have to. But they're not. They don't have to yet. And I don't know if they will have to. I know I'm really going on a tangent here, but I just think it's interesting, man. It's so interesting to see how Microsoft, Phil Spencer convinced Microsoft to open their damn war chest. And the day that Microsoft opened their war chest for the Xbox brand, it was solidified. Xbox is here forever. Xbox is never going anywhere. Phil Spencer knows this now. Phil Spencer is on the board at, the highest place he can be at Microsoft now. Xbox is not going anywhere. And Sony knows this as well. And so Xbox's long-term game here is they're just going to slowly squeeze Sony and squeeze Nintendo and squeeze any of their competitors, because none of their competitors, unless it's Amazon, unless it's Google, unless it's whatever, none of their competitors are going to be able to match them or compete with them in terms of just how much money can you spend? How long? How long can you exist in the red? Because I'll tell you, Microsoft can outlast everybody. I'm telling you, man. Excuse me, I'm seeing some of the chats roll in right now. I love it. Some good stuff. All right, let me see here. I got quite a few super chats to go over here. So we have Darkborn. You're saying, I think this is super good because if these live service games last a while, they won't rebrand PS Plus till at least next gen and maybe not till later. Well, that's the thing here, Darkborn, is I think Sony is at a point where, the big success that everybody says Game Pass is going to find, Game Pass has not found it yet. But that doesn't mean it won't find it at some point. And so Sony is trying to carve out a new not a new direction, but their own direction, and convince people that this is the way. That is not the way. This is the way. And they're going to try to prove it by leveraging their expertise, leveraging their studios, leveraging their history, leveraging their current fan base, their current subscriber base. That's how they're going to do it. Excuse me. Pragmaticat, you're saying if Sir speaks a lot, can't think of something new, then I'm not Pragmaticat. Okay, Kapapa, you're saying Jim did good. Beam me up, Scotty. Darkborn says Xbox bought short-term success with Activision Blizzard and ZeniMax, and soon their budgets will drop unless they get enough subs soon. You wait. Well, that's the thing here, is Phil Spencer is also hedging his bets on, if we have Call of Duty in Game Pass, we're going to have Starfield in Game Pass. We have all Bethesda games, all Activision games eventually, most of them, and our own games. Is that going to be enough to grow Game Pass where, to get it to a point where it needs to be? The only question we do not have an answer to, that I can only assume, is how long is Microsoft willing to wait? How long? What is their goal? 50 million subs by 2024, 2025? Something, I don't know, is that their goal? What if they don't get anywhere close to that? I don't know. Xbox hasn't proven it yet, guys. This is exactly what I mean when I have said Xbox has not proven it yet. I know people are like, but Metacritic in 2021. No. I'm talking bigger picture here. They haven't proven it yet. And I know you're like, well, why are you talking so much about Xbox? Well, because Xbox is an extremely relevant part of this conversation. More so than people realize, because many of the things that Sony are doing right now are done not as a reaction to Xbox, but as a way to separate themselves, and as a way, Jim Ryan and Sony right now are trying to change the conversation at least a little bit, and part of changing that conversation is, hey, stop expecting us to be Game Pass. Stop expecting us to be Xbox. We're the market leader. It's not going to happen. That's kind of what Jim's saying right now. And they're trying to not beat that into people's heads, but just make it known that, why should we copy Xbox? Why should we copy Game Pass? And then, I don't, you know what I mean? That's pretty much what Jim's saying right now. And I don't have an answer for him. Because it's a better deal? What does that have to do? Why does Jim Ryan, why does Sony care about a better deal? Jim Ryan's goal is I need to grow. I mean, Sony needs to. Jim Ryan's got to grow. He's got to buff up, you know what I meant. Sir Speaks a Lot, you're saying, just so you guys are aware, MBG is telling me to stop because but I'm going to apologize to the new members. I'll change my habit into banning you so I don't get complaints. Thank you, Sir Speaks a Lot. Thank you. Really appreciate it, bud. You're ridiculous, man. Pragmatic Cat, you're saying, double think that, home scoop. Okay. Sir Speaks a Lot. So the PS Legacy are still streamed. Shame. Yes, that's currently how it is for not all of them, but most of them. Certainly PS3 games. Manolis L, you're saying, we all know what services do to first-party games. The games are getting compromised for the service. We don't want that. Axis Hawk says, Xbox will also have many experience after the acquisition. WoW, Diablo. So it's quite interesting to see what happens now. I agree. Axis Hawk, I actually do agree. It's going to be really interesting to see how the next couple years play out, because I'm telling you now, the chances of both of these models being able to coexist with one another, I feel like it's definitely possible, but I don't know that the chances are very high. Like, I don't think that it's likely. Like, I think there's going to have to be a winner and a loser here. Maybe not. I mean, Nintendo, in a way, I will admit, Nintendo has kind of proven that you can do, like, a company can do their own thing and not give a shit about their competitor and still find a tremendous amount of success. And Sony may end up going in that direction if Xbox really does decide we're going to persist for the next 10, 20 years with this model, even if it's not working the way we want it to at first, you know? Sheik says 2021 Publisher of the Year, 2021 highest Metacritic games. By the way, who's playing MLB The Show next week on Game Pass? It's also crossplay. MBG, do you own an Xbox? I do own an Xbox One X. I haven't played it in a very long time, but look, Sheik, I get what you're saying, man. But again, we're talking bigger picture here. I'm not taking away 2021 Publisher of the Year and highest Metacritic score. And the MLB thing, come on, bro. That's just a low blow. You know that that's not Sony's decision. All right? You know Sony can't do anything about that. Their hands are tied. If you want to view this as the beginning of look at that. Look at that. Xbox and Phil Spencer and Xbox Game Studios, they are beginning to show you that they can produce quality with a game subscription service. Fine. I can give you that. But it's just the beginning. We got to see a lot more. Because what Sony's been doing, they've been doing it for a long time, man. And it's gonna take time for Microsoft to uproot that. And Sony knows that. And that's why Sony is doing what they can right now. And then we have Nakamichi saying, hey, MBG, I just woke up. What did I miss? Well, you missed a little bit, but we still have quite a bit to go here. All right, let me get back to reading this. I do apologize it's so broken up. Okay, so essentially this first part here that we just read, this is Jim Ryan, you know, oops, wait, I went ahead. Yeah, this part here is Jim Ryan making it crystal clear that we're not doing day and date. We're not doing day and date. It would compromise our quality. Our games would suffer. We have a good cycle right now with our studios. It's not happening. So continuing on here, it says Ryan's. Let me make sure Sorry, I want to line this up. Ryan's view on this isn't unique to Sony. Most AAA publishers are reluctant to put their most recent games into subscription services. The counter argument is that by putting your latest titles into PlayStation Plus or Xbox Game Pass, you are potentially widening your audience. Overnight, your new releases could have tens of millions of players, and if your game has other forms of monetization in it, then the revenue potential is significant. And even if your game doesn't have microtransactions, Xbox believes that subscriptions combined with streaming is the key to finding new console players. Ryan's perspective is a pragmatic one, and PlayStation's current position on this is entirely subject to change. This is why this is such an important read, because even though Jim Ryan is making Sony's current stance and how they see things clear, he's also making it clear that Sony is not rigid. Sony is willing to be fluid, and they're willing to maneuver and pivot and make substantial changes if This is the most important part. If need be, if they have to. Okay? So it goes on to say that the way the world is changing so very quickly at the moment, nothing is forever. He tells us, who would have said even 4 years ago that you would see AAA PlayStation IP published on PC? We started that last year with Horizon Zero Dawn, then Days Gone, and now God of War, a hugely polished and accomplished PC version of that game. We've had great critical success and great commercial success, and everybody has made their peace with that happening and is completely at ease with it. I look back 4 years and think nobody would have seen that coming. So I don't want to cast anything in stone at this stage. All I'm talking to today is the approach we're taking in the short term. The way our publishing model works right now, it doesn't make any sense. But things can change very quickly in this industry, as we all know. Outside of what PlayStation isn't doing with its new PS Plus subscriptions options, it's worth talking about what it is doing. So, see, look, that is so important, okay? Because what Jim is saying is that, yes, he's speaking in the short term. That's why I said the next 3 to 5 years. So, you know, if you are somebody who is assuming that Sony is going to do day and date with their games 2 years from now, 3 years from now, not going to happen. That's pretty much what he's making clear. But when it comes to the long term, this is why I do appreciate Jim and what he's saying, because he's not stupid. You know, he's not stupid, and he's just pointing out the obvious. And I've said this as well too. No one knows the future. Jim Ryan doesn't. I don't. You don't. Phil Spencer doesn't. But what he is essentially saying is that we have a competitor, that being Xbox, with Game Pass. They're doing something completely different that makes no sense for us to do as well. And all he's saying is that if they end up finding huge success with Game Pass, and they end up proving that this is the future of gaming in the next 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, then yeah, we might have to change some things. If suddenly nobody's buying consoles anymore, if suddenly nobody's buying full price games, if suddenly Sony's just on the decline because they're not jumping on the service train, the day and date service train. See, I appreciate Jim saying that too, because he makes it clear what his job is at PlayStation, at Sony. His job is to make sure PlayStation grows, that PlayStation doesn't make dumbass decisions. Well, I mean, even though they've made some mistakes, but I mean, really, like, you know, I see somebody saying they'll follow, say it, MBG. Well, you know, people are saying like, oh, PlayStation just sounds like Blockbuster when Netflix was coming up. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here, guys. Let's not. Should we even make that comparison? Two very different things. Very different things. And I also want to make it known that one of the different differences here is that Jim Ryan's not being arrogant. I know I'm making it sound like he's coming off arrogant, but truthfully, based off of his quotes here, he's not being arrogant. He's simply just saying that, yeah, this doesn't make sense for us. This isn't how we make our money. And this isn't how we make our games. We're not doing that. That would screw us over right now. But he's not saying that we'll never do it. That's not even a possibility. No, he's saying, hey, we'll have to see. Right now, we're confident in what we're doing, and it's working well. And that's the thing that's so important is people have always wondered, why are you so aggressively against Xbox? It's not that I'm against them. It's just that when we talk about this stuff, when we look at these quotes from Jim Ryan and we hear what PlayStation's saying versus what Xbox is saying, it's become so clear that Xbox is really attempting to uproot, and I mean uproot, what, you know, has already been established, the traditional way of doing things. And that is essentially the uprooting of Sony's way of doing things. And Sony doesn't want that, because look at where Sony is. Look at where PlayStation is. As I said, they are the market leader by a very healthy margin. They're making more money than anybody in gaming. So it's like, why? Again, like, I have to ask the question. And I seriously I'm asking it honestly. Is Xbox successfully uprooting Sony's way of doing things? Are they? Will they? Will they? I want to say right now, it doesn't seem like it. It doesn't, and the reason why I say that is because if Xbox was successfully uprooting Sony's way of doing things, then how come Sony isn't changing the way they do things? How come Sony isn't losing money? How come Sony's sales aren't dropping? How come Sony continues to sell more copies of games and not less? You see, it really does boil down to this simplicity of, as Maxwell says, if it's not broke, why fix it? Why change it? And I understand that people are worried because, like, well, what about stagnation? And what if they get left behind? Based off of what Jim Ryan's saying here, does it sound like they're not willing and possibly even ready to do things differently if they have to? People say, oh, dude, MBG, you're just against a good deal. You want Sony to take the money from you. No. I want to make it known right now. I want to make this known. If Sony came out tomorrow and said, you know what? We're going to offer our games, God of War Ragnarok, Spider-Man 2, Wolverine, and everything else they got cooking that we don't know about yet, day and date on a $10 or $15 service a month. And they said to me, our quality will not drop. Our quality will actually improve. Don't worry about that. They will be single player experiences with no microtransactions. You better believe I would be like, holy shit, that's awesome. That's great. That's amazing. But doesn't that just sound a little too good to be true to you? You know? I mean, personally, I would still buy physical copies of those games and collect them. But doesn't that just sound like it's just not really a thing that could happen? Because this is what I mean. So what's my alternative? Okay, well, I got to pay full price for these games. What can I do now? Where can I turn? I want to go. Somebody says, Leo, you're saying, yes, it could happen. But here's the thing. Like, what happens to PlayStation as a whole? Like, Sony could do that right now. I want to make it like, that's what's interesting as well, is if Sony really wanted to. I mean, if they really wanted to, Sony could put God of War Ragnarok into this service day and date. They could. And they wouldn't just like that be in the red. They could afford to do that. But let me ask you, what about the next game? The next single player $150 million, $200 million budget game? What about the next one and the next one? And then before you know it, it's almost like they will slowly start to go in the red because they're not able to recoup that money. Again, Mike, here's where we can whittle it down. Essentially what would happen is Sony would be trading in. Now, I want you to put yourself in Sony's shoes right now, and I'm asking you guys because I'm curious what you would think. Like, what would you do? What would you do if you were in charge? Sony would have to trade in what they currently have. Like, they have option A. Option A is we release our game at full price and we just do the thing that we've always done. And we find success and we make good money and we are in the green, right? Everything's good. No loss. That's option A. Or we have option B where we can put this game or some of our games. It's risky, but we could put some of our games day and date and we'll recoup the costs in the long run because of the subscribers that we will get and we will hopefully retain. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it's that simple, man. Sony cannot risk that. That is a massive risk. Why would you trade in something that is a guaranteed success for something that is not a guaranteed success from a business perspective? Why would you do that? I don't know. I just me speaking, if I was in charge of PlayStation and that was like the dilemma I was in, I'd be like, yeah, no, just release the game full price. That, this is how we make our money. It's just common sense. I mean, this is why I'm beginning to think that maybe Sony and Microsoft can successfully go in divergent paths and find their own success. Anyway, I have to apologize once again. I'm going on my tangents and I'm not making my way through this article the way that I want to. So it says here, outside of what PlayStation isn't doing with its new PS Plus subscription options, it's worth talking about what it is doing. At a basic level, it is bringing together PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now. This is just kind of going over the offerings. In comparison to Xbox's offerings, the PS Plus premium tier carries a high monthly cost. However, where Sony has been competitive is with its annual pricing. It is a fact, for our services at least, that the great majority of people subscribe through a 12-month subscription, Ryan explained. It's more than 2/3 who subscribe that way. So that's a pretty interesting statistic. Apparently 2/3, so like 66% of PlayStation Plus subscribers or even PS Now subscribers are choosing the yearly method, which makes sense. That's how I do it. That is an area of value proposition that we have looked at very hard. What we are delivering is that for a 12-month subscriber, and that is the great majority of people, the monthly subscription rate for PlayStation Plus Extra will be $8.33, and for PlayStation Plus Premium, it will be $10. So, yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, you got to admit, when you break it down that way, it is pretty good. He goes on to say, we think for what people are going to get, this is a terrific value proposition and one that simply wouldn't be possible if we were to put our studio's games into the service upon the release. See, that's very interesting. He points out that apparently they wouldn't be able to offer that $10 a month if you get the yearly. This is where I feel, though, that even though what Jim Ryan is saying, he's breaking down the facts here, like, technically, you're getting an amazing deal. If you subscribe for 1 year, if you pay $120, for 1 year of PlayStation Plus Premium, you're only paying $10 a month. So I mean, yeah, it's good, but it does make you like, does anybody care? Is anybody going to notice that? Is that what the conversation says right now? Is that what people on the internet are focused on and what they're saying? I mean, that's the thing here, is that this is where I worry that Sony, they could learn a thing or two from Microsoft and the Xbox fan bases. Come on, Jim, Sony, come out here and talk about that value proposition. Let everybody know just how cheap it actually is and throw a bunch of numbers at them. That's how you get them, But instead, it's being kind of buried here. It's being kind of buried here in this games industry article. This should be a selling point. This should be a talking point. I see, this is exactly why Sony relegated this to a blog post, because this is not the most exciting thing. It's hard to market this, man. It is. In this current environment, anyway. Chris B, member for 20 months. Thank you, buddy. You're saying Sony will do day-and-date releases of their free-to-play live service games. There you go. That makes... Okay, so The Last of Us multiplayer game, assuming it will be free-to-play, we have no idea if it will, but if The Last of Us AAA big multiplayer game from Naughty Dog is going to be free-to-play, and that drops right into the service, well... See, that kind of doesn't make sense, though. Now I'm thinking, it can't be free to play if you have to subscribe to the service. Maybe you get some kind of benefits. There we go. I think that makes the most sense. Is if they were to do something like a free to play Last of Us online game, if you are subscribed to like PlayStation Plus Premium, you get maybe some benefits. I don't know, maybe. But that's the thing is like, if you think about it, it's kind of an oxymoron. You know what I mean? They will do day and date releases of their free to play games in their service. But if you have to subscribe to the service, well, then again, never mind, because you have to be subscribed to PS Plus, right? No, I don't think you have to be. Sony doesn't require PS Plus for free to play. Huh? That's actually, you know what? You might be right about that. That might be exactly what Sony's planning to do because, well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, man. You broke me, Crispy. You broke me. Game Riot, you're saying PlayStation can't make The Last of Us Part 2, for example, costing $100 million and put it into PlayStation Plus Extra. It just can't. The maths don't add up. Yeah, I mean, look, that's the thing is like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know, like I can do the math for Sony because I don't have access to the data that Sony has. I don't. Just like I don't have access to the data that Microsoft has. I can't say for sure, but I have to take Jim Ryan's word for it that they can't afford to do it. It wouldn't work. Maxwell, you're saying exactly. Just look at Xbox. They drop day and date on Game Pass, but look at the quality of all their games. Completely trash. Look, Halo was their top franchise, their God of War, and look at what it is now. I mean, look, man, I'm not trying to be Maxwell. You're going in hard on Xbox right now, but like I'm just not. I'm the only game that Microsoft has dropped in 2021 that I thought was genuinely impressive on many levels was Forza Horizon 5. I wasn't impressed with what I saw with Halo. I wasn't impressed with Psychonauts 2, frankly. I mean, I heard it was a really good game, but it just didn't, I don't know. It seemed good enough, I guess. And I don't even know what else they released. You know? Here's a question for you. Here's one. What if Deathloop wasn't a PlayStation exclusive, but was instead an Xbox exclusive? How would we view 2021 then? I didn't really like Deathloop, but that game got a bunch of really good reviews and people apparently liked it. So who knows? You know, it seems like that Bethesda purchase may just work out for Xbox. I'm assuming it will work out. I mean, how could it not? Space D, you're saying problem with that logic is that only a handful of PS games are a massive blockbuster. Well, you know, that's the thing, Space D. Actually, I do. You are correct about that. Look at the games. Look at Returnal. Returnal is launching into the service 1 year. Not even 11 months after it launched, because it wasn't a huge blockbuster. It wasn't, you know, and you can assume that games that are not going to be seen as the big sellers will probably make it into the service sooner rather than later. You know what? I do have to wonder too. I think like certain games, it's interesting because you would think Returnal would make its way to PC first, right? Like you would think Sony would want to release Returnal on PC first and charge kind of full price there and then put it onto the service. But I see people saying I'm wrong about the 11 months. I'm pretty sure Returnal came out at the end of April last year. At the end of April. All right, let me continue this article because this is dragging on way too long. Says here, Sony may not be putting its latest releases in, but there's still some popular PS5 titles in PS Plus Extra and Premium, including Miles Morales and Returnal. But outside of its first-party games, Sony says every major publisher is present in the service, and conversations continue to go well. Whether it's indies, whether it's big games, or things that celebrate our heritage, all sorts of games, Ryan says, we are going to have all of it, and hopefully a lineup that ticks all sorts of boxes. The premium option is a more specific, more of a specialist tier, and one of its big draws is the collection of retro games. Obviously, it's not for everybody, which is why it is in the premium tier, Ryan says, but there are people like me who have been around forever and who have played those games and loved those games 20 odd years ago, or maybe it's people whose parents rave on about these games and want to try them for themselves. Once we can share that lineup with the world, we think there's going to be a lot of interest in that. Streaming is also within the premium tier. Again, like retro, it isn't for everyone, although Ryan expects it will become a more meaningful part of Sony's business in time. Sony feels it has done a good job with PS5 so far, manufacturing challenges aside. It has a console that's been well received, particularly the controller. Its exclusive games, despite some delays, have performed well, including the recent releases of Horizon Forbidden West and GT7. Man, they have some balls. They do. Dude, Sony's got some balls to, well, I guess it's technically games industry, but to put GT7, come on. People have been shitting all over GT7 since its launch, but whatever. The one element arguably missing in its services, and that's what this new PS Plus offering is designed to address. Yet, even if it doesn't immediately attract new customers, there is an existing audience of 48 million PS Plus subscribers to convince to upgrade, including those in countries where PS Now was never an option. It's about rounding off the offer that we have, Ryan explains. With platforms, it's seldom just one single thing that makes a platform really attractive. It's a combination of many things, and having a really strong service proposition definitely helps that. Clearly, within our existing audience base, we have the opportunity to attract PlayStation owners who are not PlayStation Plus subscribers at present. The additional opportunity is the 48 million PlayStation Plus subs and get them to trade up to extra or to premium, and our task is made rather easier there by the fact that they are existing subscribers, so we have an extremely close relationship with them on many levels. The subscription business model, and this is an important part we're about to read, guys. All right, I know that it can be tough hanging in with all this, but this next part is pretty important. So it says here that the subscription business model in video games is a growing one. Xbox announced in January it has over 25 million subscribers to Game Pass, and that number keeps on rising. What's not too clear is the ultimate potential of all this. Could it possibly become the dominant model in games like it has with music and TV? Jim Ryan is not convinced. This is very important. Subscription has certainly grown in importance over the course of the last few years, he concludes. Our PlayStation Plus subscriber number has grown from 0 in 2010 to 48 million now, and we anticipate for our services that we will see further growth for the subscriber number. But the medium of gaming is so very different to music and to linear entertainment that I don't think we'll see it go to the levels that we see with Spotify and Netflix. I'm telling you, he's not necessarily taking shots, but this is Jim Ryan's response directly to Game Pass. Game Pass, the Netflix of gaming, that's what it's supposed to be. Jim Ryan's making it clear cut. We do not believe that. We do not believe that gaming can be the same as Netflix, that services are the answer in the way that Netflix is the answer for movies, in the way that Spotify is the answer for music. He does not believe that a Game Pass-like service will be the answer for games, because the way he views it, and I view it this way as well, gaming is not the fucking same. I do not give a flying shit. I don't even know if that's a saying, but I don't give a shit what anybody says about gaming. It's not music. It's not movies. They are different. And the more people try to cram them together and believe that they are the same, what do you guys think about this one? I view the mobile gaming market. I got a fucking hot take for you right now. I view the mobile gaming market. There's your Spotify for gaming. There's your Netflix for gaming. Absolute cheapest, bottom of the barrel, race to the bottom, get the most for the least, right? That's how I view it. And when I've talked about this with gaming services or subscription services, about how, to me, it just seems like they are trying to chase the success that other entertainment mediums have found, because these other entertainment mediums are not appealing. Like, why do you think these people are choosing to watch movies and listen to music and not fucking play video games? Because video games are different. Video games are more complex, and we need to fucking respect that. And this is why I respect what Jim Ryan's saying, because he is respecting that fact. I have no problem. I have no problem with people wanting to bring more people into gaming. We need to grow gaming, right? There's billions of people who don't play games. How do we get them to play games? Well, you know what? Maybe this is an unpopular opinion, and maybe some people will disagree. But I am not a believer in, well, if they don't want to play the games, we'll bring the games to them. Well, what does that entail? Well, it certainly doesn't entail telling them to buy a fucking console or a gaming PC. It certainly doesn't entail asking them to pay full price for their games because, well, it's a high quality game. It needs to make money. No. It entails, how do we dumb this down? How do we whittle this down to its most basic form so that way they show interest in it? What does that sound like to you? That is the mobile gaming market. It just is so bizarre to me that people are cheering on. Like, I commend Phil. And I commend Microsoft for trying to take the AA and AAA games market and make it appealing as best they can to a market that does not care about it. I genuinely commend that. Like, you're trying to get more people to care, to get involved. But the way I've always seen it is people who, it's like, I'm going to use Elden Ring as a fucking great example. You ready for this? Everybody's talking about all the success that Elden Ring has found. 12 million copies in less than 3 weeks. A whole new audience. Brand new people who never even heard of Dark Souls, let alone touched it. Or Bloodborne, now playing Elden Ring. And let me ask you this. What did From Software have to compromise to achieve that? The answer? Absolutely fucking nothing. They said, you want difficulty options? Go fuck yourself. You want an easier game? No way. You want us to change? You want us to make the game that is appealing to you so you can feel enticed by it? No thanks. We're going to do what we do. We're going to do what we always have done. And this is why I fucking love the conversation, and I laugh at the conversation that, oh my God, Elden Ring it's doing all these things. And I'm like, you never played a Souls game. You never played Bloodborne. You never supported From Software before, because if you did, you would know that this is more of that, but bigger and better. Not dumber, not less, not reduced, not whittled down, bigger and fucking better. So when people want to come to me and be like, well, I don't know if it's going to appeal, it doesn't need to. If it's actually good, if it's actually a good product and it offers something meaningful, people will go to it. People will eventually find it. And I am not going to sit here and condemn Sony for just believing in what the fuck they do. I gotta go. It's early. It's because I got like like 2.5 cups of coffee in me right now. So it's easy to go on these rants, but you're saying it's the easiest FromSoft by a long shot? Well, I guess. I feel like maybe the fact that you have more freedom to, kind of pick and choose your battles and when you want to partake in those battles. Maybe that's what makes it seem a little bit easier. Guy is rocking back and forth in his chair. I'm telling you guys, I'm telling you, I seen it. I seen the future. But in all seriousness, though, like this is where this conversation to me does get a little bit heated, and I do get passionate about it because, you know, it's just I don't. This when you whittle all this down to its most basic form, I do not support the notion or the idea of, hey, if people don't like what's on offer here, and we can't grow, like we can't, 10 million, and we're not getting more than 10 million, 20 million, we're not getting more than 20 million. We need 20 million, or we need 25 million, we need 30 million, we need more. I'm all about growth, man. But when you got to achieve that growth by completely altering and changing, like people want to talk about the fucking music industry. Are you shitting me? That's a fucking dumpster fire. And look at the movie industry. I don't know, man. It's completely hit or miss. And I just cannot get behind it, man. And when I talk about the music industry, obviously it's not everything is a dumpster fire. I'm just meaning like just the stuff you sometimes gotta wade through, man. Just to find something decent, just to find something good. Just to find something that isn't generic garbage. I don't know, man. It's concerning to me. It is. we are almost 2 hours deep into this. We're almost 2 hours deep into this podcast, and you could tell like I'm entering that. You can tell I'm entering that phase where it's like, well, I gotta start smoking some. Yeah. I mean, look, I know that I'm getting like heated, and it sounds like I know I start to sound like a maniac when I'm ranting, but also I want to make it known that I never said Game Pass is whittled down generic garbage. I did not say that. I'm just simply saying that, it's this idea. I understand, like, Phil Spencer's trying to find the best of both worlds, where it's like, well, what if we don't alter? Like, Starfield. Starfield was originally supposed to be a full price game. What if we don't alter that? We'll just drop it into a certain, we'll keep it what it is, what it was always going to be. We'll put it into the service and it'll be $10. So it's like, you're going to get the same thing that you would have gotten, but for a much cheaper price. Of course, this is what I'm saying. Like, there's nothing wrong with that notion, but the question of sustainability in the long run, and for a business is profitability. How? Over time, as we said, sure, maybe, but we don't know. We do not know. All right, let me get to these super chats. Edward Jordan, you're saying, what's up, MBG? Did you hear about Sony and Marvel? The expanded video game universe, Insomniac's Wolverine game engine sounds insane and face melting. I actually didn't. I don't know if this is like, if this just came out or if I missed it. But dude, I cannot wait to see what Wolverine looks like. And that's kind of what it seems like Sony is achieving here, is like an expanded Marvel video game universe to an extent. Capono 5150, you're saying, trying to stay positive since Sony doesn't give refunds, maybe game demos will help me not get burned on a $70 game that I may not like. Yeah, and that's how I'm trying to see it too. It's like, I think game trials are I think the big mistake with Sony though, with the game trials, is locking them behind the third tier. I feel like game trials should be part of PlayStation Plus, frankly. Just the essential tier. And I say this because it's a trial, like people, like you said, Capono, are going to use it to determine, should I invest my money in this game? Like, to me, that's one of the, I know I didn't talk much about it, but that is one of the biggest mistakes with this service, is it these, they need to be, I think the trials need to be at the bottom. I mean, at the very least, put it in the middle tier, for God's sake, Sony. Why are you putting that shit at the highest tier? I'm telling you, I think they put it at the highest tier because the highest tier can't really stand on its own. It needs that little extra sweetener, but I don't think it's doing its job. It doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like it's sweetening the pot. I saw that 18. You're saying, so I'm looking at the premium tier for the games. Basically, Sony is waiting 12 to 18 months before dumping some first-party games into the service. So people that finally get a PS5 are in for a real treat. Yeah, I mean, that's true as well, man. I see. That's the thing is I don't know what the exact time frame is. You say 12 to 18 months. They're doing Miles Morales and they're doing Returnal, 2 games that they could have put on PC at full price, but they're not. They decided to leverage these games for their service. I don't know. Like, what about Demon Souls? What about Sackboy? Right? The picking and choosing is interesting. I think Sony is purposely picking and choosing to make it so it's difficult to, map out. Like, oh, if I just wait 12 months or 18 months, you don't know that. You don't know that, If there's a specific game you even have any interest in, I just, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see how it pans out. VIP3 saying, MBG, I truly believe when Sony does the big showcase this summer, it'll blow the competition out of the water with the games built for PS5. Well, I will say, man, like, whenever Sony does do their next showcase, I mean, I know it's a little bit early to be hyping it up, but I mean, we are at a point with PlayStation where we don't know anything. I mean, we know a few small things, and by small, I just mean we know very little of them, and we have seen very little of them. God of War, we know about that. Spider-Man 2, of course we know about that. Why wouldn't we know about that? Wolverine, okay, but we have seen nothing of it. They do have a lot going on behind the scenes, and they've been keeping it very close to their chest, and so I have to imagine that when they do decide to say, okay, now we're going to have our showcase, I'm expecting, I'll put it to you this way, when Sony has their next showcase, they better be showing up with more than 2 or 3 new games, because I will be pissed if after all this time, only 2 or 3 new games. You got to have more than that, especially with all the studios they've been purchasing, right? So, Darren, you're saying cope and defend all you want, but once COD starts dropping day and date and WoW subs roll into Game Pass, it's game over. It's not coping and defending, man. Like, I just want to make that clear. Like, I get why maybe if you're an Xbox fan, you can perceive it that way, but in reality, I just have I know what I like, I know what I don't like, and I know why I like what I like, and I know why I don't like what I don't like. And I'm Darren, I'm gonna be real with you right now, man. If Call of Duty is what Microsoft needs, if that's what Microsoft needs to make Game Pass the type of success that they need it to be, then that proves my point entirely. It does. Because I know that Call of Duty is like a AAA game, but it's Call of Duty. Okay, it's like the most generic, whittled down game that it's practically a meme. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that it's not original. It's not fresh. It's not any of these things. And so it's like, well, if that's what you're telling me is what's going to do it, it's tired. Yes, it is. It's not new. It's not innovative. It's COD. If that's what's going to be required to make Game Pass a success, then you are proving my point, my friend, in that I no thanks. I'm not going to support a service where that's what's needed to make it successful. See, this is where I'm saying, like, the conversation goes, it always comes back to the same point. You're saying that it's game over. I hope not. Rogue, you're saying you won't, but millions will. And you're correct about that. That's the thing is, like, Call of Duty is extremely successful. And there's a reason for that. People do like it. And I admit, I played a lot of Call of Duty in my day, but man, it gets to a point where it's like, okay, it's literally the same thing every year. I'm ready for something new. I remember one time I was like, maybe they should make a third. I put it on Twitter. I think it was like on Charlie Intel or something. I said, maybe they should make a third-person Call of Duty. Oh my God, I got destroyed. They're like, what are you, out of your fucking mind, buddy? Get out of here. And I was like, whoa, okay, all right, I'm out. No third-person Call of Duty. I was like, maybe it'll change things up a little bit. And you're right. Like, millions of people do play it, and they will play it, and millions of people will subscribe to it to play it. But just because, this is the reason why I've always kind of celebrated Sony's success with some of their games is because I've liked the fact that Sony is not finding success at least this massive success they're finding. They're not doing it in the generic way. They're not. It's not like Sony released like, here's our new FPS modern military shooter. And that's where, that's the game that we're celebrating. No, we're celebrating games like Ghost of Tsushima. I'm celebrating games like Death Stranding. And I know that maybe Death Stranding wasn't the big mega hit, but it apparently sold like 5 or 6 million copies, which is respectable. And like just weird different stuff like that. That's like, like that's not, see what I'm saying? So I just, yeah, I know. We got to talk about the games as a service thing before the stream. I don't know how long the stream's going to be, but we still have more to unpack. Jerome, you're saying, why do I feel like we know only about 4 games of their 20 plus studios? LOL, Sony acting like a drug dealer. Yeah, they're just drip feeding us, trying to keep us on the hook. All right, let me see. We got some more reading to do. Okay, so pretty much this section here that we just read, the bottom you can see here about net. That's just, Jim Ryan saying that he doesn't believe that gaming should operate in the same way that the movie and music mediums do. He doesn't believe that they should make a gaming service in an attempt to replicate the success that these other services outside of gaming have found. So he says some of the live service games that are proving very successful these days, and I'm not restricting this comment to console, that's important to understand, they're effectively subscription services in themselves, and they're very much tailored to the needs of the gamer who love whatever game that they spend hours and hours with, month after month after month. That phenomenon of the live service game, that is, in a very large part, fueled the enormous growth in the gaming industry that we've seen over the last 10 years. I think that trend towards live services will continue, and if you look for a model in our category of entertainment which supports sustained engagement over long periods of time, live service games arguably fit that bill better than subscription services. But it's all about choice. There are obviously many millions of people who are happy to subscribe to PlayStation Plus. We offer them the option on the platform, and we think that we are offering a significantly improved option with the changes we have had. Equally, if people want to play Fortnite or Call of Duty or FIFA and have their sustained engagement that way, that's fine too. Nobody is obliged to do anything. So I think that this is one of the most interesting things that Jim Ryan has said, because we're beginning to get a clear picture of why Sony is pursuing so many live service games, and why Sony sees live service games as the future, not necessarily over single player games, but when it comes to growth and revenue and expansion. Jim Ryan's basically saying, look, we have a better shot at making a single player Ghost of Tsushima game at full price, and then releasing a free-to-play multiplayer game as a service Ghost of Tsushima game that you don't need to play the single-player version. You don't need to buy the single-player version. We'll make our money off the single-player version and those sales, but we'll also make the money off of this live service experience that will have microtransactions, absolutely. And, if it's free-to-play, hopefully they handle the microtransactions correctly. And that is what will be their sustainable recurring revenue. It makes sense. It does. But the biggest concern here with the way Jim Ryan is talking about live services is, don't fuck it up, man. Don't fuck it up. Looking at how they handled GT7, that's not how you handle a live service game. Just straight up, Sony, right out of the gate, you're screwing it up. I've made it clear that, because I know what people are going to say. They're going to be like, oh, you support live service games and you want more live service games. Let's make it clear here that there's a balance with everything. I like multiplayer games, and I am definitely open to experiencing some multiplayer titles from Sony. Absolutely. I don't think that live service games have to be bad. It's how they're handled and what the cost associated with them is. You know, when I look at GT7, it's a full price game. Straight up, there should be no microtransactions in this video game. If you are paying $60 or $70 for this video game, there should be no microtransactions. And if you are going to have, the audacity to charge more for microtransactions in a full price game, then they better be practically invisible. Like, I better not even know they're, like, not necessarily not know they're there, but like they have literally no impact. And with the way Sony has handled GT7, they completely fucked it up. I see you saying people who are actually playing GT7 love it. I'm not saying that it's a bad game and that people can't enjoy it, but I will not defend that. I refuse. I will not stand on a hill with a PlayStation flag and say what they did with GT7. And I'm talking prior to the fix, by the way. Prior to the fix, they announced that they're fixing all of it and they're readjusting it. Fine, but I'm not going to sit here and make it sound like that there was never a problem. No, like, that's not how you do it, Sony. You hired Bungie, or you didn't hire Bungie, you bought Bungie. I don't know how Bungie handles their microtransactions and their monetization. Frankly, I have not experienced it. I heard they're pretty good with it. I don't know. I've heard mixed things about Bungie. Axis Hawker saying with COD, Game Pass can have 50 million subs, $500 million a month easily. Well, yeah, but how much does it? Yeah, I mean, I guess, but something tells me that math isn't 100% accurate, is what I'll say. And I don't think it's that easy. I don't think it's that simple. How much did Microsoft pay? How much did Microsoft pay to get Call of Duty? $68 billion on top of the $7.5 billion for Bethesda, on top of the whatever revenue splits they may still have to pay out. It's not that simple, man. I'm telling you, it's not that simple. Inspector Guru, you're saying, damn, I'm late to the stream. So, the final part of this stream is talking about what Jim is saying here about live service. Jim is saying that, look, we believe live service is where we're going to find our success and growth, not a full subscription, service for our platform. And what's interesting is he said that if you look at the growth that the games industry has seen over the past 10 years, it's been mostly due to live service games. Sony can obviously easily identify this because they see the games that make the most money on their platform, and they see that the games that make the most money on their platform are live service games. And he even goes on to say that, these games as a service become subscription services in themselves. I mean, for as much as I hate it, I do. It's fucking. I hope Sony doesn't do any stupid shit like this. If you look at GTA Online and how they're adding a subscription service into their service game, GTA Online Plus. I mean, look. Let's be real right now. I hate it. You probably hate it. We don't like it, and we're not happy that that's the direction that Rockstar is going in. But you think people aren't going to subscribe to that, and pay that $6 a month for literally just stuff in the game? A lot of people are going to subscribe to it. And let's just get down to the nitty-gritty of this conversation. Sony and Microsoft, as far as gaming is concerned, feel as though they have already attracted all of the hardcore audience. They've already brought on all the hardcore gamers that they could. So the only thing left for them to do now is try to expand beyond that by appealing to the casual, which is something that can be successfully done, I think, without compromising your DNA with what made you successful in the first place. And I like the way, mostly, that Sony is approaching their multiplayer games with the way they've done it so far. Like, for as much flack as I'm giving GT7, we also do need to acknowledge that Sony also, they're the ones with Sucker Punch that did Ghost of Tsushima Legends. And that is so fascinating to me because they then went on to sell Ghost of Tsushima Legends for $20 standalone if you just want the multiplayer without the single player. And I think that this is Sony's future. They're going to have these big single player experiences, these smaller single player experiences. They're going to be very high quality, high production value, and they're going to be sold at full price. And they will make standalone multiplayer titles for these games. So that way, there will be in the future, I know it sounds crazy, but in the future, there will be people who, even potentially it could be as soon as with this Last of Us multiplayer game, who go play this Last of Us multiplayer game. Maybe it's free to play, and that's why they decided to play it, and they love it. And suddenly they're a recurring player that's playing this game every month, every day. Maybe they buy microtransactions. They just love the game, and they have never played The Last of Us 1, and they have never played The Last of Us Part 2. That could be a real possibility. And that's interesting because we are seeing the coexistence potentially arising, a coexistence of Sony appealing to the core PlayStation fan that made them who they are and still making a good money off of that fan. And the fan is happy because they're getting what they want in return, but also appealing to a completely different type of fan that maybe they weren't necessarily appealing to at the beginning. And they can, and the interesting part about this is they can bounce off of one another. They can bounce off of one another. So somebody who plays The Last of Us multiplayer game, maybe they're like, well, maybe I'll go play The Last of Us now. Maybe I'll go play The Last of Us 2 now. And then now Sony has a fan, and they like the games, and they're like, wow, if they ever make a Last of Us 3 or whatever, I'm going to buy that day one and play it. You see what I'm saying? It makes complete sense to do it this way. You're saying, now that's an interesting take, MVG. I'm not sure Sony are that smart, buddy. Well, they might not be. I want to make it known that that picture I just painted is my ideal picture here. That's my ideal version of Sony approaching live service. They could mess it up big time. They could come out here and be like, Last of Us multiplayer, full price, $70, full to the brim with microtransactions, give us all your money. It could be that. And that would suck super much. Like, that would be like, wow, Sony, you suck. Thanks a lot. You fucked it up. I'm hoping, I'm holding out hope for the ideal version of a harmony and a balance. And I'm liking what Jim Ryan's saying because he seems to understand this. Herman Hulst said it himself. He's like, look, we're still making our single player games. Don't worry. But we see live service as a growth vector that we have yet to pursue. Okay. GT7's not a good start. You guys aren't giving me a lot of confidence here. But I believe in you. You can do it. Just do it right. That's all. That's all I want from Sony is just do it right. I don't expect Sony to just sit around and be like, we're only ever going to make single player games. That's all we're ever going to make. That's not how it's going to be. I like multiplayer games. I do. But, it's just, there needs to be a balance. I don't know how else to word it. I don't think I can word it any other way. There just has to be a healthy balance. You're saying Jim Ryan understands nothing. This was all PR propaganda. I mean, I would find that hard to believe, man. Genuinely. I mean, dude, it's like saying Phil Spencer knows nothing about Xbox. No way. Phil Spencer's been at Xbox for what, 30 years? He knows a lot about Xbox, dude. Probably more than any of us. Just like Jim Ryan probably knows more about PlayStation than any of us. He's been there since the beginning. I'm not saying that means he can't screw up. Of course he can. But I just, they are businessmen as well. And that is the big difference between us as fans and them as long-term executives that have worked for a brand. I don't want to see many more screw ups from Sony. I don't. I feel like, the one thing Jim Ryan, I question with him is exactly what they said in this article. This article cited GT7 as a big success. And I'm like, why would you say that now? I'm sure it sold really well, but that's kind of a backhand to the fan base that is for those who have been upset. Like, you can't just pretend that there wasn't a big outcry because you messed up monetization in your game. Just list a different game, or just don't list it, because that's just sad, because it makes it sound like you didn't even notice. Now, we know they noticed. They replied. They responded. They had a whole article for it. But yeah, I think that, I know that this stream is just covering a single announcement from Sony, but there's a lot here. And obviously, I got pretty passionate over the course of the stream, and I appreciate you guys hearing me out with my rants. And I know I start to maybe go off the deep end, but I think to sum everything up here, what this boils down to is Sony released a blog post and an announcement today where they said, we are rebranding PlayStation Plus. There are going to be some changes. There's going to be 3 different tiers. It's going to be PlayStation Now integrated, game trials, PS5 games involved, PSP games involved. And it's not the biggest announcement. It's not the most exciting. And a lot of people are not on board with it. But a lot of people are on board with it. A lot of people are okay with it. And I suspect that quite a few current PlayStation Plus subscribers will upgrade. And you have to assume that there will be quite a few people who are not subscribed to PS Plus that may give it a try. And they may end up liking it or not. But in Sony launching this or announcing it, in Sony outlining what this is and what their plans are with it and why they made the decisions they made, I think we're learning quite a bit about Sony's approach. Sony is not following Game Pass. They're not following Microsoft's trail. They're still going their own way. They're sticking to what they know. They're sticking to what they do best. They're not going to compromise that, but they are ready and willing, if necessary, to pivot, to make changes, to do things differently if suddenly that's what needs to happen in order for PlayStation to grow and survive and be relevant. But right now, they are relevant. They're relevant in doing what they're doing, and it's only going up for them. So, yeah, we'll see where their live service approach takes us. I'm trying to be optimistic about it. I'm trying to be open-minded about it. I know a lot of people were telling me that, dude, your podcasts are just turning into you whining and complaining and just constantly finding something to be upset about. And I get it, but it's hard. I'm not naturally a glass half full type of person, so it's difficult for me when I see these things happening. Like, I want to say this too, and this is the final thing I'll say, because I think it's worth bringing up here. One of the things I talked about and I complained about pretty aggressively on my most recent podcast episode was what Rockstar Games is doing with GTA Online and GTA Plus. And I want to make something clear, because I have seen a few people defending GTA Online Plus, and I'm willing to hear them out. Like, I want to know, well, what do you see in this that is good? I'm curious. And, this is why it's important to be open-minded and listen to the other side and what people have to say. And what they're essentially saying is, well, if you are somebody who really loves GTA Online and, like, that's your game, maybe it's even the only game you play, you might find that while paying $6 a month, you get all this stuff, all this money, GTA money and whatnot and whatever. And maybe that's appealing to some people. And I put myself in the mind of that type of gamer, and I imagine, what if that is all I played? Then I can for a brief moment see, okay, I can see the upside here. Why maybe it's not that big of a deal. You don't have to buy it, but maybe, yeah, I could see why maybe somebody out there, some people out there might be like, that's actually pretty cool. I'm going to subscribe to that. Now, I want you to hold that for a moment, because where this leads me is My question the question I now have to ask myself, if I can put myself in the shoes of somebody that does see a benefit to this subscription service within a service, then what's the problem here? Well, to me, the problem lies in the fact that this is not about GTA Online Plus. In fact, I don't have a problem with GTA Online Plus. Do you know why? Because what it is, as it stands, is kind of harmless. I don't care. You want to make a subscription service within your online game? Go ahead. You want to charge people? Go ahead. People want to buy it? Go ahead. My problem lies within Rockstar Games. And Rockstar Games, my problem with them is that they are known and respected. You know, they have a heritage, they have a history of some of the best single player experiences ever, some of the most memorable characters, some of the most memorable stories, the whole thing. And what we have seen is them essentially forego mostly all of that in favor of GTA Online. And so it's not GTA Online that I hate. It's not GTA Online Plus that I hate. It's the fact that GTA Online's success has essentially driven Rockstar away from what made them so great. And they abandoned, they abandoned, that. And the last thing we saw of them was Red Dead 2, and that was amazing. But where's GTA 6? 5 years away from now? Are we even going to get another Red Dead? What about another Max Payne? What about something original? Anything. You see what I'm saying? And this is where my hope within Sony is like, Sony, you want to make a live service game? You want to have the most successful live service game that's as successful as like GTA Online or Fortnite, and you want to put a subscription in your live service game? By all means, do whatever the hell you want. But please do not do it at the expense of what made you great, of what made you who you are today and what you are known for. Do not abandon it. Do not forego it. And there are a lot of PlayStation fans who say Sony would never do that. Sony would never do that. And I want to agree. Or yeah, Manhunt, sure. And I want to agree. I want to say with 100% confidence that Sony would never do that. But I don't know that for certain. And the reason why I don't know that for certain is because I've never seen a Sony with a successful live service game. Okay? We have never seen a Sony with a truly successful, like top tier, top played live service game. And if Sony achieves that, I want to know, Sony, are you going to change? Or are you going to remain how you are? Because that's the big concern. And so I feel like it was important to just divulge this, and talk about this, because I know that it's easy where it's like, oh my God, GTA Online Plus, what are they, out of their minds? It's like, no, they're not out of their minds. In fact, I think 99% of people can rationalize why they're doing it. And obviously it's the money. We want the money, But it's like, can we please get something else from you, Rockstar? Like, for the love of all that is holy, please make a single player game. Please. Like, you have too much talent. You have too much history. You cannot abandon it. You cannot throw it all away. And they have no answers for us right now. The only answer they gave us is, well, we're working on GTA 6. We'll at least give you that. Like, oh, thanks. Almost 10 years later, they made it. They confirmed they're making GTA 6. And so I don't want that to be Sony, man. I don't want us to get to a point in the next 10 years with Sony, or maybe 10 years is too long, but 5 to 6, 7 years where Sony's service games are so successful that we're over here begging Sony, please make another God of War. Please make another Ghost of Tsushima. Please bring back something, I don't think they will. I don't think Sony will do that, but you never know. I would argue that back when GTA 5 launched, if somebody turned to you and said, hey, did you know that the next game you're going to get from Rockstar won't be until 2018? Like the next Red Dead 2018, people would have been like, you're out of your mind. It It would have been great. Like, I feel like most people would have said, no, of course, they're going to keep making good games. That's what they do. Yeah, Inspector Guru. There you go. I appreciate you're saying begging. If we ever get to a point where we have to beg Sony to make single player games, that would be sickening. I agree. And that's the whole thing. That's what it boils down to. I don't want to see that. Sorry I'm late to your chat, buddy. You're saying, Gabriel, you're saying, big fan. I watched in silence but had to comment. I think Sony will leverage the live service games with a bit of third-party games day one. And they could, yeah. And essentially this could be Sony's answer. Again, we're talking about just trying to get to the point here after all this time. We could see Sony do exactly that. And as I said, try to have the best of both worlds. Sony, I think, believes that, hey, we can make our games, single player games, we can charge full price and we'll sell millions of units, and we can have our service and we can have third-party games on that service, and we can leverage deals with those third-party games, and we can have our maybe not free to play, but our multiplayer games may be added to this service. We can leverage our older games, whatever it may be. Sony's going to try to achieve the best of both worlds. You know, it may not look as pretty. You know, it may not look as pretty as yeah, I see there's a spelling error there. I noticed that too. It may not look as pretty as what Game Pass is doing, but PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan. Guys, I think this rebranding went a bit further than we originally thought. Rari2X, you're saying PlayStation made it clear that their single-player games are their first priority regardless. Even with live service multiplayer games, they focus on single-player games. I agree. And I'm not trying to speak like fear. I'm not trying to fearmonger. It's just that my question, Rari2X, my question to you is, will Sony still say the same thing if they have a game that's as successful as Fortnite or GTA Online? Will they still say the same thing? I mean, I want to say alongside you and everybody else, oh, of course they will. But do we know that? Do we know that for certain? It's uncharted territory. It's uncharted territory. We don't know that. We have to put a little bit of faith into Sony. You're saying as long as Herman is around, I'm fairly confident. I want to say that too. Yeah, I want to, but Herman is not where the buck stops, unfortunately. Herman only has so much power. The buck stops with Jim. And that's the truth. So, like I said, Sony being fluid and not being so rigid is both a good and a bad thing. It can work both ways. And that's it. That's pretty much, I know that was a lot. I know I kind of like went a little bit nuts a couple times during the stream, but it was good fun. I really enjoyed this stream. It may not be the big announcement that we all thought it was going to be, and that maybe some people were making it sound like there's going to, and there might still be more, but if this is all we get, it's still made for a very interesting discussion and a very interesting conversation. And I know that not everybody's going to agree with me, especially when I get heated. I know when I get heated and I really start to go in, I know that I come off very confrontational. So I fully understand that if there are people where it's like, I got something to say to you, MBG, go ahead. I know when I'm heated, I come off like I'm closed-minded. I promise I'm not that closed-minded. I just have, I have a little bit of passion, I guess, to express within the gaming industry. So be sure to like this stream on your way out, guys. We crushed it, over 1,100 likes already, which is awesome. Thank you guys so much for that. Just, if you haven't already, hit the like button on your way out. Be sure to leave your comments in the comment section of the stream as well if you have more to say. I also want to just want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. So I probably won't have a video out today. It's a 2.5 hour stream. So I'm, anybody who's interested in hearing my thoughts on this, you got 2.5 hours of my thoughts. And we'll see, we'll see what the remainder of the week holds. And I think this is the last thing I want to say. I think what's very interesting right now at this moment in time, we've been talking about a big Spartacus reveal for some time now. We've been talking about Sony doing state of plays. Sony has done all of these things. Sony released their games. They did their stated plays, and they now talked about Project Spartacus. What is next? What is next for Sony? That I have no clue, and I'm very interested. I feel like going into this next quarter, April, May, June, and July, I have no idea. I have no idea what to expect. Hopefully some exciting times ahead. So, NAC 3. There we go. Yep. All right, guys. That does it. I'm going to go get some food. I am, man, lot of energy spent on this stream. So, yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Until then, take care, everyone.